regarding bid 22-004 aggregate surface treatment for delivery and pickup.
All right, what's the pleasure on items G18?
Motion to approve the purchasing director's recommendations on the bids.
Second.
We have a motion, second. Any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. All right,
All right, item G1B regarding bid 22-005 asphalt emulsions for delivery and pickup.
not what's the pleasure, of court.
Move to approve the recommendation of the purchasing director.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. I'd like to go to item L1. We have Shane Turner and Fiona Bond here. It's regarding the U.S. Department of Treasury Coronavirus Local Physical Recovery Fund American Rescue Plan Act, discussion or action regarding the eligible expenses and our funding guidelines, reporting requirements, and funding request.
So I'm Fiona Bond, Executive Director of Creative Waco, and of course this is Shane Turner, owner and operator of the Hippodrome.
All right, so we will recess until 1 o'clock tomorrow. So it's 11. All right, good morning. Let's call court to order. Today is Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. It's 9 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Friday, February 25th, 2022 at 3:10 p.m.
Thank you. And if anyone has a public comment, they can come forward now from the audience. Yes, sir.
My name is Shannon Caraway. I'm Vice President for Business Development for a company called Solar Prime. Currently, we're trying to develop another 300 megawatt solar farm and 300 megawatt battery energy storage project here in McLennan County. And it's out north of Trading House Creek Reservoir, that area there. We're preparing to submit a proposal to this body soon for a county tax abatement for the project, and just wanted to stop by ahead of time, introduce ourselves, and tell you what we're doing.
Going to D on proclamations, resolutions. We have nothing this week. Under E, under consent agenda, I have no recommended pulls. Does anyone else have a pull from the consent agenda they want to discuss? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, Dustin.
Yes, sir. Judge, if we could go to item N1, this is discussion and or action on matters regarding COVID-19.
These case numbers have decreased for the hospitals.
All right, Judge, do you want to accept that for recording purposes?
Yes. Is there a motion to accept that report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
All right, if we could go to item N10, presentation from Texas State Technical College regarding Central Texas Industrial Training Center.
There's a mismatch between the number of jobs that are available and the number of people that are available to fill those positions.
Move to accept for recording purposes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? so much good in the community, especially with the youth, as well as production agriculture and keep the chinch bugs out of your yard. So we appreciate them, so tell them thank you when they're out there, and after that break, they will get back to work.
Recording in progress.
Thank you. All right, again, good morning, everyone. Let's call court to order. Today is Tuesday, May the 2nd. That reminds me, it's my anniversary. Coincidentally, it's my wife's too. 53 years, yeah. Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023, it's 9 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Thursday, April 27, 2023 at 4:15 p.m.
All right, thank you. At this time, we'll pause for a moment of silence, and then we'll have the pledge to the flags led by Veteran Service Officer Steve Hernandez.
Please join the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
All right, thank you.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Thank you. At this time, if there's any members of the audience that want to speak to the court on business matters, please do so. And Reagan, we had no one call in, right? All right, seeing none, we will go to proclamations and resolutions. And if those that are being, that are receiving these proclamations, when I call your name, please come forward, and Dustin Chapman will read the proclamation into the record, and I'll make the presentation. All right, first proclamation under D1, proclamation declaring the month of May as Treatment Court Month. And so I'd like to ask Amy Lowry, Judge Coley, and is Judge Vick here? Oh, Judge Hodges?
Judge Hodges.
All right. All right, y'all come forward. You can just, y'all know the lineup, get right here. All right, Dustin, if you'll read the proclamation into the record.
Yes, sir. This is a proclamation of the McLennan County Commissioners Court declaring the month of May as Treatment Court Month, whereas treatment courts have been restoring lives and families for more than 3 decades. And whereas there are now more than 4,000 treatment courts nationwide. And whereas treatment courts are the cornerstone of justice reform sweeping the nation. And whereas they are now recognized as the most successful justice system intervention in our nation's history. And whereas they save an average of $6,000 for every individual they serve. And whereas treatment courts significantly improve substance use disorder treatment outcomes, substantially reduce addiction and related crime, and do so at less expense than any other criminal justice strategy. And whereas treatment courts improve education, employment, housing, and financial stability, promote family reunification, reduce the number of veteran suicides. And whereas treatment courts facilitate community-wide partnerships, bringing together public safety and public health professionals. And whereas treatment courts demonstrate that when one person rises out of substance use and crime, we all rise. Whereas McLennan County advocates recovery in our community through the continued support of the 3 specialty courts, DWI Drug Court, Veterans Treatment Court, and Mental Health Court. Therefore, be it proclaimed that the McLennan County Commissioners Court declares the month of May as Treatment Court Month. Be it further proclaimed, a copy of this proclamation be made a permanent part of the minutes of the Commissioners Court, witness our hand and seal the 2nd day of May, 2023. Judge.
All right, thank you. I make a motion we approve this proclamation. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Thank you. All right, well, thank y'all very much for, this is a process that we just started a few years ago, so it's very new. I think from the feedback that I'm getting from y'all, it's working well, and the future's bright for a part of our society that really needs special attention. And we appreciate the compassion and and the thoughtfulness that this court provides, and as well as the mental health court. So, if I can, let me present this to you. And Amy, thank you. Judge Hodges, thank you for all you do. Judge Vic,
Thank you.
good to see you.
Good to see you too, sir.
And if you'd like to address the audience, anything you'd like to say?
Well, just to let everyone know, for those of you here and for the court, without y'all's support, we couldn't do these things. We've seen a lot of lives get changed, and I can tell you that the feedback we've gotten is that it's just been transformative for so many of those folks. And so our community is really lucky to have the support of this court and the life-changing opportunities these folks have gotten. Thank you.
Thank you. Victor?
Can I say a word?
Yes, please.
I do want to echo what Judge Coley said and thank again the commissioners and county judge for their part in getting these projects going. You know, we're kind of a small county, but we're one of the few small counties that has 3 different treatment courts. So thanks to the judge and the commissioners for being forward thinking to help us. I also want to recognize Amy Lowry is our court administrator. You know, our staff works tirelessly all week long. All we do is show up in court and act like we know what we're doing. But they're the ones that are helping people on the ground every day. Amy has been the one that has grants, found additional staff for us, found people to go into the court. And so we literally could not exist without her. I want to thank her publicly.
So Amy, since you got been recognized now, and so if you'd like to say a few words, go forward. And you've helped us a lot.
Oh, thank you. And nothing that I do is by myself. Our participants, the support of the county, just having the support and knowing that people can do better with our support is huge. Just changing lives. We've had 3 babies born healthy in our program, and nobody expected that. That's something that just kind of happened. And, people aren't going back to jail. People are getting jobs. People are renewing relationships in their families. It's life-changing, and it's so gratifying to be having a front seat to watch that. So thank you all for allowing us to have the best job in the county.
Thank you. Judge Vic?
You know, I'll tell you that the criminal justice system focuses mainly on offenses and victims, and rightfully so. There's no doubt that that's the primary purpose is punishment. But we'd be remiss if we didn't recognize the fact that we can do a lot within the system to address the needs of the people that come in there so that they don't come back at some later time. And this is what these courts are one of the few programs that are available to actually help offenders regain their lives and regain an opportunity to be a contributor to society rather than drain the resources of our society. And I love being part of it. It's still my favorite thing to do. When I leave the courthouse on Friday, I feel like we've done something good in the system. So thank you.
Thank you. The next proclamation, this is a proclamation recognizing May 7th through 13th, 2023 as Travel and Tourism Week. So Dan, if you and Carla and Rhonda and Susan would all come forward, and we'll have Justin Chapman, our county administrator, read that into the record.
Right. This is a proclamation of the Commissioners Court of McLennan County, Texas, recognizing May 7th through 13th, 2023 as Travel and Tourism Week. Whereas travel and tourism has been a consistent driver of McLennan County's economy and workforce, and whereas a robust travel and tourism industry provides significant economic benefits for McLennan County and the nation, generating more than $65.6 million in tax receipts in 2021, and whereas travel and tourism has been the foundation of a healthy workforce in McLennan County, supporting nearly 6,000 jobs in 2021, And whereas spending by travelers in McLennan County has aided state and local governments alike, generating $685.3 million in tax revenue in 2021 to support essential services and programs. And whereas the coronavirus pandemic devastated every sector of the travel and tourism industry with staggering declines in 2020 compared to 2019, affecting every community in the country, including McLennan County. And whereas the travel and tourism industry cannot recover without the full return of leisure and business travel, as well as meetings and events by both domestic and international visitors. And whereas the rebound of travel and tourism will drive the rebuilding and revitalization of our economy and workforce towards a more prosperous future, and now therefore be proclaimed that the Commissioners Court of McLennan County, Texas, do hereby proclaim May 7th through 13th, 2023 as Travel and Tourism Week in McLennan County, and encourage all residents and businesses to welcome those visiting our fine county. And be it further proclaimed that a copy of this proclamation be made a permanent part of the minutes of the Commissioners Court. Judge.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve this proclamation.
Second.
Have a motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. Sound like a railroad. Well, it seems like every week's travel and tourism week in Waco nowadays. I can remember back, the only time anybody spent a night when it broke down, but, thank y'all for all the efforts that you put in, that everybody notices it, and so we would like to see this and say a few words.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate the time for doing this. And yeah, I mean, the proclamation talks about the money that's raised, and yeah, that's a big deal. And Waco itself is one of the top tourist attractions in Texas, which, as you said, Judge, wasn't that long ago, it really wasn't. But we always rank usually the top 3 or top 5 in terms of occupancy of our hotels. We've got a little shop downtown that seems to draw a lot of people. And 87% of all of their people that come to shop there are tourists, which is kind of amazing stat. But the most important thing isn't the dollars, it's the human interactions. The more we get to know each other and understand what goes on in all these communities like Waco, the better we can get along together. And the more we say, well, that's why they do that, because they're Baylor fed or whatever, you know. But that's what the real true meaning of tourism is. We're just honored to be able to be. I've been in this industry a little over 40 years now, and pretty soon I'll get it figured out. But I'm not quite there yet, so I'm going to be here for a while. We truly appreciate this honor.
Thank y'all.
So,
thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Y'all have a good day. Stop
here. We're
going
gonna
to do.
Look at that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
All right, we've got a couple of attorneys on the agenda here this morning, and they need to get back to billing work. And so first, I'd like to go to item N6 with Josh Borderoux and Chris to discussion or action regarding the Law Library Committee recommendations. Now, before we start, I would like to also recognize Josh for helping put these specialty courts together for us. Started with the Veterans Court and working with Veteran Service Officer Steve Hernandez and myself and our office and several of the commissioners were able to make that possible. And I just want to make a public statement that, Josh, we really appreciate your leadership in that regard.
Judge, thank you so much. It was an honor and a privilege to work with you and Steve and Behavioral Health Network, Judge Coley, and others in establishing our Veterans Treatment Court and with it the Mental Health Treatment Court. So grateful for your leadership and the Commissioner's leadership on behavioral health issues and getting folks the treatment they need as opposed to putting it on the backs of the county taxpayers for incarceration. But with that, I think the Law Library Committee has worked kind of with that in mind, that what we're trying to do is help accommodate all the good work happening in the courthouse but still make law library resources accessible to the public and to practitioners. I've been the chair of the committee since this Commissioners Court created the Law Library Committee back in 2019. Chris Galeshka, who's joined with me as my colleague at Baylor Law School, he is a law librarian, so he is both a lawyer and a librarian. And he has kind of been the center of the expertise on the law library and on our committee, and has been so helpful in. We've reduced our print volume resources that were unnecessary and enhanced our digital resources that have really been enhanced in the last 4 years. So grateful for that. Our recommendations are pretty small this year. We completed, with the help of Studio Gallery and some county law library budget funds, had some cool Studio Gallery historic Gildersleeve images displayed there in the law library. We renewed both the Westlaw and the Lexis online digital library resources for legal research, and wanted to announce that Chris will be taking over as chair. I will remain on the committee along with Judge Susan Kelly, past bar president Gerald Villarreal, and criminal defense lawyer Stan Schwieger. The five of us have been on the committee since 2019 and intend to stay on the committee. But I think Chris would be best suited to serve as chair going forward and will be the point of contact for Dustin and the county judge's staff. But our one recommendation, Judge, this year is a subscription to TextDocs. It's $110 a month. I think that is well within the funds that are designated for law library resources. What it is legal forms available for both legal practitioners, lawyers, and those who are representing themselves in the courthouse. And we're hopeful that with the addition of these forms, that it'll make it easier for our courts and those navigating the courts to be able to get the right document filed with the clerk for the court to consider. So that's our only recommendation this year. We appreciate all your support as usual.
All right. Any questions for Josh?
I have one. I think it's an excellent thing that we're doing to provide to the public. How will they know that that's available to them?
That's a great question, Commissioner Miller, and I would probably defer to Cody and Dustin on that, but I think it may be helpful to have a list of those resources near the computer terminals so that people can see just what is available. I would assume it would be an icon on the computer when they saddle up to the computer terminal. But that's a great question, and that would be something that I would ask maybe Dustin and Cody to consider as we acquire these digital resources, to let people using our library know what is available to them. So thank you for pointing that out.
All right, Dustin,
Yes,
do you have a comment on that?
I think that's a great idea. We can kind of get a comprehensive list of what's all available in there. And then, Commissioner, to your point, I think we could, potentially create a law library page on our website as well. And then that's something I think that Josh through the bar and those other areas could share on social media and just be able to kind of get the word out even more.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. On our end, more than glad to do that. And that sounds like a great idea.
All right. Okay, what's the pleasure of the court?
I move that we approve N6.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. And Chris, the court looks forward to working with you in the future, and just to work with Dustin, and he'll bring any items, issues to the court that need to be addressed.
Thank you, Judge. I look forward to working with you and the commissioners as well.
All right, thank you. All right, thank y'all very much. This time I'd like to go to item N7, authorization order approving financing by the Crawford Education Facilities Corporation for the benefit of TSTC Foundation. So I have Dan Plights here today. He and I were the only ones that got the memo on blue blazer and khaki day. Morning, sir.
Should I sit down or?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Sit down. Yes.
Okay. Well, everybody, I must say how, just as a person and not a lawyer, which that was very encouraging to hear what's going on down here.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Everybody knew what y'all are doing. It really is uplifting. So I'm down here trying to gain your approval so that we can do a tax exempt loan for the new TSTC Training Center. And the loan would be in the amount of $8,500,000. It's being made by American Bank. This is the punchline, but I want to go and get it out. The loan is currently it's set at a fixed rate of 3.902 for 20 years. We had a deal yesterday come through our office, and the index was going to be prime, and somebody said, well, what is prime today? And they said 8%. So I don't know if that's really the case across the country, but this is going to save TSTC a ton of money. We are required, the loan is being made to something called the TSTC Foundation. They're going to literally build that training center. They're going to lease it to TSTC, the college that you think about. And big TSTC is going to pay rent, which will repay the bank loan. So the banks are really loaning to big TSTC, but we go through these steps to, because the foundation for TSTC's own reasons needed to be titled as the owner. Under our federal tax law for tax exempt debt, we have to have approval of this by what's called the host jurisdiction, which is either McLennan County or the city of Waco, because the new training center is in both Waco and the county, and we asked Judge and Dustin about 3 or 4 weeks ago if the county would consider this, and we were told to bring it on. So we are required, though, if we don't gain your approval, we can't do it. And then now we're looking back at 8 instead of 3.5. This is construction loan. We're going to get $8.5 million from the bank. We're going to get the other $8 million from you because of your ARPA agreement, which you worked on very carefully months ago. This doesn't affect that. This is the other half of the money to build this out. So, Judge, there's no liability to the county, doesn't count against your bonding authority at all.
That's important.
That's it.
Yeah, and as Mr. Price just stated, it does not count against the bond issuance or our bond rating on any of our own needs going forward, which we will have those needs as well. But just to kind of background some of this too is the City of Waco pledged an income stream that American Bank leveraged that to provide the money into the foundation. And so that's how the City of Waco came in, and then our money comes in and joins with that. And facilities built, and the TSTC, as you may recall, contributed some property they had to trade to the Industrial Foundation for this facility to be in. So it's a true community partnership that will be there again. I look at it as another good investment for us to be able to. Our biggest challenge is, Chris would tell you this, in bringing in industrial manufacturing facilities is workforce. And I'm talking about skilled workforce. And so if we want to bring in people, we want to bring in companies to just hire minimum wage. That doesn't give us the economic impact we're looking for. We want companies that hire skilled workforce, therefore we have to provide it, but they make a higher salary, much better economic impact. They buy houses, they can afford to do things. It's more than a living wage, so that's our goal. Any questions on any of that? If not, is there a motion to approve this transaction?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Okay. At this time, I'd like to go to Chris Collins under item I-17 regarding program project agreement with Swan Products LLC, authorization payment request number 2. Good morning.
Good morning. What you have before you is a program project agreement request through the Waco-McLean County Economic Development. The total amount of the grant request is $300,000, of which the county's portion is $150,000. As a reminder, we did this agreement. The total award amount was up to $400,000. $75,000 of which has already been dispensed. That was to offset some costs related to a fire pump that the company had to put on for part of their fire suppression system. The balance that the company is eligible for is the $300,000. So you'll have approximately $25,000 that will go back into the WEDMEC fund. So the total grant award to them would be the $375,000. So they have met the requirements on investment, retained jobs, and on new job creation. They've actually exceeded on all of those aspects. And so our recommendation, our staff recommendation is approval of the additional $150,000 on the county's portion.
Okay. Any questions? All right, and we're seeing a lot of these are exceeding their requirements, primarily due to salaries going up and also expanding the project over and above what they originally had planned. We see that a lot. And so, thank you very much. What's the pleasure of the court?
So move.
Second?
We have a motion, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, while you're here, Chris, let's go to item N8, which is Greater Waco Chamber of Commerce Monthly Economic Development Report.
Yes, sir. So what we're presenting today is our March report. You can see from the information that we provided that we are really on par for where we were in 2022. Things are going well for us when it comes to the amount of activity that we're seeing. We're still seeing large projects come through, as well as some smaller, but when we look at the range of activity that's occurring in McLennan County, it is really happening throughout the county. So it's not just happening in Waco. We're working projects in the Lacey Lakeview area. We're working projects in the McGregor area and Robinson. So it really is going across the board, which is great, because we want everybody to have an opportunity to see growth in their communities. And when you look at the number of proposals that have gone out the door, right on par with where we are last year. Business retention visits up just slightly. We're seeing more and more activity around that related to business assistance requests where the companies are reaching out to us, which is always good. We want them reaching out to us and connecting when they have an issue or an opportunity, because if they don't, we don't know about it, we can't help them, and we certainly don't want opportunities to go to another community. So overall, when you look at the range of projects that we're working on, we have 38 different projects that are in a variety of different stages. I'd say the most active are there's probably 13 or 14 that are most active in the community right now, and represent a significant amount of investment and jobs potential for the community. I did a lot of research recently on trying to understand a little bit more about where we're seeing opportunities, where we're seeing the most activity. Y'all often wonder, and people in general wonder, where do these projects come from? And so we get projects from a variety of different places. Primarily, what we're seeing, like for 2022, the majority of our leads came from the state of Texas. The state has done a much better job than it had in the past of outreaching and being receptive to businesses and consultants trying to disseminate information about project activity and project opportunities. So a lead comes into the state has a conversation with the business or the consultant to learn more about it, and then they push that opportunity to communities that meet the criteria of the business. And so last year we had 77 different leads come in from the state of Texas that we submitted project proposals on.
And they push them out to multiple entities.
Correct.
No, they don't.
Right, so they may have a need for port access. And so they're gonna reach out, they're gonna centralize that lead to places that have port activity. They may need a place that's on the I-35 corridor, or they need to be within a certain mileage of the DFW or the Austin metro area. And so we will, if we fit the geography, if we fit the needs related to land, utility capacity, those types of things, then we'll submit on those. But we also see leads that come directly from the consultants or real estate brokers. We see them from developers, from trade shows. We do when our outbound marketing efforts, and then company direct, where the companies are actually coming to us. They've identified Waco in some form or fashion, or the McLennan County area, and so they will reach out to us directly, which is always great. And then, we've had a tremendous amount of economic success over the last couple of years, and I wanted to kind of put that into perspective for y'all. So you may remember we reinvented how we do economic development in the 2006 timeframe. And since 2006, we've had $3.7 billion worth of new activity. We had a goal back in 2006 of $1 billion decade, and we hit that in about 9 years. We have since 2020 had $2.1 billion worth of new activity. So that's 56% of the total since 2006 has been in the last 3 years. And that's pretty significant. And so, we've had a tremendous amount of growth. 40% of the square footage new development that we've seen in that same time frame has been in the last 3 years. So we had 15 million square feet of development. 40% of that has been since 2020. That's a lot, and I don't think that we're seeing a slowdown. I think that this is just the rise of this region, because there's a ton of activity that's happening between that Dallas and Austin corridor, and we're right in the middle of it. So I think we're going to continue to see a lot of inquiries about our community, which means we have to be ready, which means why the Industrial Training Center is so important, but it's also being good stewards of the resources that we have available to us too. So I wanted to just share that. And we're, the majority of our projects that we've announced have been in manufacturing, supply chain and logistics, which goes back to our centralized location within the state. Professional services and aerospace and defense have been the top 4 categories, which are also our target industry sectors that we go for. And the reason that we go for those is because they tend to have higher wages, higher inventory, higher tax-based generation, and provide a much larger economic benefit to the community than some other areas. So I thought that those were just some interesting things to share with y'all about the work that we do and what we're seeing. And as a result, we're also seeing a tremendous amount of growth in our labor force too. We're at the highest labor force number that we've had ever. So we have currently our annual labor force is over 137,000 people in the MSA, which is great for us. And then when you look at the regions continue to grow too, and that labor force number is well over 350,000 people, which makes it attractive to employers too, because they can get a great workforce within less than 45-minute drive time.
Good, great. Any questions for Chris?
I don't know if it's a question or a statement, but I noticed over there at 933 that intersects with, I guess it's either Lake Shore or Loop 340, that the name change has occurred. I'm not sure how long. I might just have recently looked up. Now it's East Industrial Boulevard or something. I'm at 933 and I'm
Golson and Lake Shore.
Okay. What is is it East Industrial Parkway? There's an Industrial Parkway name change.
There's an industrial that's over by Timco. That road that runs between the two sides of Timco, that's industrial. I'm not sure, I haven't been over there in a little while, but that was also the very first industrial park for Waco. That area where Pilgrims and Cargill and all of that, when it was still plantation, that was the very first industrial area, and it was called the East Industrial District. So that could be the reason for that.
Okay. And I was going to ask you, is that speaking toward the expansion that I'm seeing as you go out Loop 340 and 84?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Is that speaking to the industrial expansion that I'm seeing when I go out Loop 340 and 84 on that side? Or has that been there a long time and I'm just now looking it up?
It may just be there for a long time. I'm not aware that there was a name change, but it could be.
But I saw it as a positive, and I was just wondering, was it speaking to the industrial expansion? Because I think, like you're saying, in the last, I know 3 to 4 to maybe 5 years, I've seen that growth over there that had not been there previously.
Right. So I don't know. I couldn't,
Okay.
I would be making it up if I said something.
May I interject a little
Yeah.
bit?
go ahead.
I worked at Broadmoor Fleetwood Homes back in the 70s, and that address for that Fleetwood Homes was 2800 Industrial.
Okay, it's always been there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I can't tell you how far the industrial name applied, but I know it applied to the mobile homes that were and travel trailers that were there.
Okay, I lived over there 20 years, I hadn't seen it. So
Maybe they just
when I
changed
looked
the
up
sign.
recently, I said, oh, okay, okay.
Okay, any other questions, comments? If not, is there a motion to approve Chris's report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Have some coffee and cookies when you go out.
I certainly will.
All right, and we'll take a break just here in a second, but I do want to ask, let's see, on N10, discussion or action regarding United Way campaign. So you come forward.
Come on, no, come up here with me. Good morning, Judge and Commissioners, and thank you for the opportunity to be here with you this morning. My name is Wendy Ellis, and I'm the CEO for United Way of Waco McLennan County. I'm sure you know Heather Travers.
We've met,
With the
yeah.
county a couple of times. Heather has been volunteering and working with us at United Way as part of our newly established last year loaned executive program. And so we have a number of businesses and organizations throughout the county that have loaned professionals to us to help share the story of United Way and the work that we're doing, and kind of the history of our time in the county. And so I also have Haley O'Connell with us today. She's our Director of Impact and Engagement, and she has some materials that she's going to pass out to you.
Okay.
The item on your agenda today is to consider running a United Way campaign with county employees. And for those of you not familiar with United Way and the way we raise our money, it's all raised locally, primarily through workplace campaigns. And so it's a voluntary participation for employees with the organization to do a payroll deduction as a donation to United Way and the work that we do. And so the information that's coming around to you now is a sample of kind of the main project that we've been working on the last couple of years, which is looking at the well-being of children ages 0 to 5 in McLennan County and how we can help improve the quality of life for those children. This project has been a community voice-led effort, and you have one report there that says, "Are the children well?" And that was a baseline report that was issued in May of 2021 that kind of gives us some of the demographic information, some of the statistics, some of the challenges that our children are facing and that their families are facing, because we can't improve the quality of life for our children without improving the quality of life for our families. And based on the information that was gathered for that report, we spent 21 into 22, and in August of 22, we released the McLennan County Child Wellbeing Community Action Plan. And this was a plan that was put together by community volunteers working with some of the leaders of our systems in the community, but speaking from the voice of people with lived experience in the county, and what was most pressing in their mind as far as areas that they needed help in improving the quality of life for their families, so that our children are off to a good start when they enter our school systems. And you'll see a number of different themes, a number of different areas of activity in there. But one of the primary concerns and consideration is the lack of affordable, high-quality childcare and early learning educational opportunities. It also focuses on access to mental health and health providers, and it looks at affordable housing and livable wages and language access and access to resources for everyone who needs them. And what we're doing is we are convening all of the different groups within the county that work in those different areas. And organizations are kind of self-assigning right now, and they're taking on, they're saying, hey, these goals already fit in with the work that we're doing, so we'll be happy to be the lead organization on that. But we have over between 15 and 20 different partners now that are working on that community action plan, and we continue to keep the community voice at the center of all of the activity that's going on there. And so that's the program that we've been working on through United Way as the convener and collaborator for that countywide initiative. And then also in your materials, there's a rack card there that gives you some information, but on the back of it is a list of over 43 different local nonprofits that are eligible to receive funding through our United Way. And all of those nonprofits are working in our county to help improve health, education, financial stability, and provide safety net services for our families if they find themselves in a time of crisis. And so we go through a pretty rigorous vetting process with those nonprofits to make sure that they're following best practices in their business operations, but also that the programs that they are providing truly make an impact in the county, and that we're seeing positive results from that. So that's some of the work that we're doing right now. And like I said, the item on the agenda today is to approve allowing county employees to participate in a United Way campaign. Again, that's a voluntary participation. Each employee gets to make their own decision about if they give and how much they give and how they do it. It's generally done through payroll deductions, but you can, each of our organizations sets their campaign up differently, and we encourage that. We want it to be something that works for that organization. So as staff, we're here to provide assistance with that, whether it may be organizing special events or doing one-time donations or doing the payroll deductions. But we are going to be moving later this year in October. We will be kicking off our 100th anniversary of service in the McLennan County area. So we've been serving the area for about 100 years now.
Great.
We put about $100 million to work in the county during that time.
Heather, do you have anything to say?
I don't know how to come behind all that.
Yeah.
That was amazing. As a loan executive, my role and capacity in this would just be a supportive role to the county, to the campaign coordinator, whom would be organizing the event here at the county. So, I guess once the decision's made for us to move forward, then we can kind of delve into what that looks like. Is it an individual contribution made per employee? Is it events that we host throughout the year? And so that's kind of where I come in that supportive role as a loan executive with United Way. But just even with our organization, Health Services, we work with many of the organizations that are direct recipients of United Way funds. And so we see it in our daily work and working with clients and making referrals and the benefits of those programs. So obviously I'm an advocate.
Right. Well, and when I first came to court, we had a United Way program. And I don't know whether it's ever, I don't think it's been disapproved, so I think we're approved, but it wouldn't hurt to go through the action doing that. It's a great program, and when you have as many employees we have, that some of them had personal needs and all that found some of these organizations, these 40-something. When I was involved with the campaign, it was only like 25. And so there's a lot of ways people can get help, and with this many employees, I can promise you we've got people that have utilized or will utilize these places, and it helps them get through some rough times in life. And I totally support United Way. I was former campaign chair as well as United Way chair, and really enjoyed doing that. It was very fulfilling. And look forward to hearing, the way we did it is you volunteered, we send around cards, if we still do it the same way.
We can still do it that way.
You put in, you choose what you want automatically deducted pre-tax out of your payroll to go into that fund. So any questions or comments anyone would have?
I have a comment, Judge. It's Anna on Zoom if I can.
Yes.
So I just wanted to outline a desired timeline, if it is something the court was interested in partnering with United Way for. HR would like to help the campaign by establishing a timeline through our open enrollment period. And that be the timeframe that employees can review the deduction options and then select it along with their other benefits with the county and their other payroll deductions. And so the reason why we're bringing this up now is so that HR has an opportunity to partner with the other departments that would make that possible. So the auditor's office and our treasurer's office to work that into our open enrollment season, plus the actual elections system that would set up the options. And then also hopefully invite Wendy to our actual expo event and have them elaborate further on programs in that way. So we'd hope for a kickoff sometime in October, along with our general open enrollment benefit season.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
I agree with you as far as when I came to the county, there used to be a payroll deduction that allowed employees to have the option of giving to United Way. In fact, I probably don't look like it, but my first job in 1986, I did payroll deduction. In fact, every job I've ever had, I've given to United Way through the payroll deduction because it's so easy. All you do is check that box. And so I'm an advocate and a fan of your program. I have one question. I'm just thumbing through your information that you gave. What is the basis for your data? Because it is extremely stark. It's not surprising, but it's extremely stark.
Some of it is. And so the way we got started with this program was actually, there was an initiative through the Waco Foundation called Smart Babies. And in 2018, the Waco Foundation transitioned that program over to United Way. And so they had done a baseline report very similar to this in 2009. And so what we did was we took that baseline report and we kind of looked at the indicators that they had used in that report, and we came back and we pulled some demographic information through a variety of different sources. So I think there's a reference there for the state database, the statistics.
Yeah, we worked with some consultants who helped us pull that data, and Prosper Waco also helped us pull some data as well. So it's from a variety of different sources, but they should. I'm not sure if the references are in that particular booklet, but in our online version they are.
Yeah. And so what we did was we looked at the same indicators from 2009 to see where progress had been made and where progress was still needed, and gave us the baseline from there. And then the other component of the work that's really unique and different as far as putting that data together is that we conducted a number of interviews and surveys with local residents. And then we also had town hall meetings, and all of that was done during the pandemic. So most of it was like Zoom one-on-one meetings, or it was a Zoom town hall meeting where we pulled that in. But we also did the surveys and that went out through like Waco Family Medicine and some different organizations to reach the people that are living in the experience now here in McLennan County. And so that's kind of what is different about this work from how it's been done before, is it really centers on that community voice.
Okay, any other questions, comments? If not, what's the pleasure of the court?
I move to approve that agenda item, but I wanted to see if I needed to be more specific in the wording.
Just, I think approval of allowing United Way campaign to exist in McLennan County.
Okay, that would be my motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Quickly, I'd like to go to the consent agenda, just with the exception of the pulls, to get that approved, and then we'll take a break to go out and get a cookie and coffee. All right, I'd like to go to consent agenda. I'd like to recommend pulls under E3A, department head reviews, and then also E5B, the SO travel piece of it. Is there any other recommended pulls? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of those pulls previously mentioned?
So moved.
Second.
All right, have a motion second, any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. All right, it is 9:50, let's take a 5-minute or so break. Okay, it is 10:02. Call court back into order. All right. All right, let's see. Elizabeth, would you like to come forward? Let's see, what agenda item is that?
Judge, the fireworks is item N5.
N5. Okay, thank you. All right, going to item N5. This is the discussion.
Sorry, Judge, it's N4.
N4. Yeah. All right, correction, N4. All right, this is a discussion or action regarding the order authorizing Memorial Day fireworks sales. All right, good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. This morning I looked up and pulled up the latest KDVI numbers to look at what's going on for McLennan County. So our low right now is 27, high 167. Our average is about 55. Thankfully, we've been getting some rain in with some of the severe weather we've seen. We're expecting to get more rain the next couple weeks. Our average number that we use when we want to implement the ban of sales is 575. So we are well below that number at this time. I know we are in a drought right now, and that may seem weird, but the grounds are actually wet enough that we would support, that we would recommend the court allow the sale of fireworks for this upcoming Memorial Day weekend.
Any questions or comments? What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve N4, the authorization to allow Memorial Day fireworks sales.
Second.
All right, I have a motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. And I have a gentleman here that, with the representing fireworks folks around here, appreciate you coming. If there's, you and I talk briefly, if there's something changes, you would have some ideas on how to move forward.
Good morning, Commissioners. First of all, I want to thank you for approving it for Memorial Day season. We know last year was a rough year for the fireworks industry. Myself, along with American Fireworks, Mr. W, and the rest of the big manufacturers and sellers of fireworks in the state of Texas, would love to assure y'all that we were more than happy to work with the county courts, but not just McLennan County, all of them. We know under the government code that there's a certain list of fireworks that are banned during burn bans. We have no problem. We've all sat down and discussed this as retailers, wholesalers, going beyond what the burn ban government code tells us. We did this in Hill County last year under the same circumstances when we went into the disaster relief. I was able to get before the court, show them what fireworks were actually safe. A misconception about fireworks today, they're not the fireworks of our mom, dad, even my young era. The explosions you see in the sky now, once that firework is ignited and it's carried up there through that powder, the explosion is a chemical reaction. It's not fire anymore. So there's no fire coming to the ground, which is what we presented last year to Hill County. Not one fire was reported from them allowing us to sell fireworks. I mean, moving forward, we would love to be able to come before the commissioners before we set off drastic measures. A lot of people depend on us, band boosters, schools. We employ those people. That's what sells our fireworks. It's not just some fly-by-night anymore. We go out and contact schools, church groups, volunteer fire departments. I have one of the 2 fireworks stands in the state of Texas sitting at volunteer fire departments selling fireworks. And they make money off of us. That's their fundraising event. So moving forward, you know, anything we can do, we'd love to help. We're willing to bend over backwards and take items off shelves that we know can cause fires. But there are items that are very safe to explode.
How long have you been doing this?
My dad started fireworks business 62 years ago. I actually bought him out 5 years ago. I'm 63 now, so I've been around them all my life. Same with American Fireworks. He's been in it 58 years. So it's not something we take lightly, and it's just a money making. It's a family life for us.
I figure you must be pretty good, because I saw all 10 digits when you walked up, so that's.
All the what?
All 10 digits, so you must be pretty good at it.
If you'd have known me when I was little, and fireworks have changed, you can actually hold some, and they don't do anything. Back in the day, you'd come home with some blistered fingers, so. But they have changed over the year, and that's a misconception about the word fireworks. They're not all fire. They're pretty, but nowadays, a lot of it's chemical action. I'm not gonna sit here and try to say they don't cause fires. There are some that still do. The rockets, the spinners, everything is still operated under power and really has no beautiful explosion after it, they'll cause a fire. I'm not gonna lie to you. Myself, I don't light them, so, but the pretty ones I do. And moving forward, I'd just like the opportunity and chance I get to come talk to Commissioners Court for a week.
Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Thank y'all very much. Y'all have a safe holiday.
You too. All right, going to item H8. This is the authorization cooperation agreement with Waco McLennan County Public Health District, local public program. So LaShonda is here, so welcome back.
Thank you so much, Judge and Commissioners. It's good to see you all again. I don't have any additional information to present, but I'm willing to answer any questions if anything has come up. Since our last discussion, we've had a Health Advisory Board meeting last week where the advisory board did approve the agreement as it was with the corrections, including some corrections and additions that Commissioner Miller offered. And at this time, I just would ask you all to approve it as it has been presented to you.
Okay, I know several of y'all have met with LaShonda, and any comments you have there. But this would approved, this would be a term of October 1st of 2023 to September 30th, 2028.
Only question I have is, can we do a 5-year commitment?
Well, we have a non-appropriations clause in it, you can do them. but
I'm
it
just
means-
saying, because we always hear we can't commit another
Yeah.
court to.
And so Dustin, you want to give the legalese on that? But, I mean, you're right about that.
Yes, sir. And so Commissioner, this is the way typically, with it being an interlocal, we would have the option of not funding at budget time. So that is our out on it, as Judge has stated. But typically, I think the last time we did this, it was for a 5-year period, and then it stepped those rate increases in over that time as well.
Okay, so it's kind of a deal of, we'll put it out there and we'll honor it, but we may change something if because bottom line, she came in and there's no doubt, I think the funding increase she's asking for is there. Commissioner Smith and I were talking, and I don't know, I've always been told you can't commit a new court or a different court to the same, so that's the only thing that.
I know, yeah, with the library, we went with 1 year.
Right.
Under the contract with them, knowing that we're gonna go forward in the future. What's the advantage or disadvantage of going out that far, 5 years, and committing future courts that we may not be here, and they may have different opinions, or I know you're saying non-appropriation clause, but that's a hard way not to do something, as opposed to a new contract on a shorter term.
I mean, I think
I certainly have no problem with what they do and what they're asking for. My question is just, is it wise to go out 5 years with a contract?
I mean, I think from the county's perspective, we know this is a city and county function. It's a city department, but it's a public health measure we know we're going to be invested in. So in a way, it probably, from the county perspective, it's helping locking our costs in. Where if it was a annual contract and that had to be revisited, if there were, it helps, I guess, take care of those wild swings we might encounter. And from a city perspective, it probably gives them some comfort in their budgeting as well and working with as many entities. And I don't want to speak on the city or LaShonda's behalf. So LaShonda, but if you wanted to add in about the benefit to that 5-year contract.
Yeah, Dustin, like you said, it does give us a way for us to just plan moving forward. We are always looking for other funds or sources of funding if it's possible and available. And from my understanding, just historically, the way the agreement has been signed has been in 5-year terms. And if we do a year-to-year contract, it'll just be us doing this, like, we'll be starting this process in a matter of months all over again. And it's a long process. And I do think that it's very time and labor intensive, not just for myself, but for my staff and for other city staff like our attorney, Lauren Oliveras, that does the work with us. And it'll just make it where we're just constantly talking about this agreement. So I don't know, Commissioner Smith, if that's a satisfiable response, but
The other entities that you contract with, do they have the same, it's a 5-year contract? with
yes,
them?
sir, everybody receives the same
And
agreement.
it's a 5-year across the board, all those you showed us?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And what we'll do is each year, we send out the funding letter asking, to invoice the county and the cities, and they remit the funds and agree yearly to fund the health district.
Okay, you've already gone out to them also?
We've started the process. We've been to Robinson, Bruceville, Eddie's already approved, and this afternoon Waco will approve. And I believe a few of the other cities are putting us on the June council meeting agendas.
And they all have non-appropriation clauses.
Doesn't
Because
can I ask-
they're like us, they can't.
Yeah, legally can't.
Yeah.
Doesn't, can I ask you, and I don't want to put you on the spot, to put up that funding proposal? Can you put that funding proposal up for us for this year?
Commissioner, let me make sure.
And I did want
I'm-
to reiterate what Dustin says. The county is responsible for providing public health, according to statute. And then statute outlines, I sound so loud. And then statute outlines how we do it. We can do it alone, a city can do it alone, or we can partner with cities and provide it. But by statute, we do have to provide it. So I think and I don't know, I could get into the minds of those who have approved it in the past, but it speaks to stability as far as the term of the agreement. But we are going to have an agreement unless we want to do it, on our own. We are going to have an agreement, and to do it for 5 years, I think just allows us, like Ms. Horn said, not to have to come back so often on the technicalities of it. I think, I know from time to time there have been questions about the funding, and I think also what we're asking as far as the increase and just keeping up with programming and keeping up with costs is kind of how we come to this, but we can't get out of the agreement.
Well, no, I don't think anybody's suggesting that we get out of the agreement, but just from a business perspective, I've always been.
Why do it so long?
Well, you can, but with a non-appropriation, we have recourse. But if they come into a windfall somehow,
Yeah.
and we're like, hey, but we're committed for 5 years to keep pumping this money in. So
Full
that's
non-appropriations.
exactly. So I'm comfortable with that.
If I come into a windfall, you'll be the first person I call.
Okay.
Nothing with this, but I would like to see at some point a list of all of the partnerships we have with other entities and the length and how that all works. And are there any services that we provide ourselves that aren't in partnership with other entities that we provide them? It has nothing to do with y'all. Nothing to do with y'all, but I'd like to, in other words, are we hosting anything or handling anything ourselves for the entire county that we receive no help back from anyone? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I'm sure if you dig very far, you'll find something like that somewhere.
Well, jail.
Am I correct? Do we visit the contract annually as far as approving the budget each fiscal year?
Right.
So although we are approving a 5-year contract, we'll revisit the funding
budget.
on an annual basis.
In the budget, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd just like to point out on this chart here that our commitment goes from this year, 586,000 to almost $1 million
Over the time.
in 28, whereas the city's estimated that, okay, so there's this, okay. That's the city of Waco's
City of Waco.
contribution.
Mhm. City of Waco does put in.
Well, there are
if
a
you want
lot
to
of
call it a
services that
lion's
the
share.
health district provides, a lot of services.
Yeah.
And
And LaShonda, I know when we talked, you had mentioned a thing that, I had not really focused on before was just about keeping, a healthy communities, a healthy workforce, which helps drive economic development. And, you had shared some interesting thoughts.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I've been spending a lot of time thinking about when we talk about telling the story of public health is really focusing on public health throughout the lifespan. So before a child is even born, we can impact their mother's health or their father's health. And as time goes, we can see at every stage in life where our services benefit people. But one of the things that we know for a fact is that those counties that are consistently at the top of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation's top healthiest counties in Texas are those that have really strong workforces and really strong economic development. Collin County, Denton County, Williamson County, and they also have really healthy people. So the way that works is it all works together. So it's really important that we maintain good public health with those overreaching services like environmental health that protects every one of us. We all have eaten something today or yesterday that was prepared by someone other than us. So we make sure that we have good environmental health services, for example. So yeah, for sure, the economy is definitely impacted by the health outcomes of a community. And we did increase our ranking to 83 this past year, so we're moving up. We were 90, and we moved up to 83, and that's really good. And I think there's a lot of potential, and I think our health district has the right staff and the right leadership, not even talking about myself, my leadership team, and just the right community partners to really make some changes. So we're excited about what's to come.
And LaShonda, I think the main point here is, and I know this is where I'm coming from and not maybe Commissioner Smith, but what we don't want is for people to see, oh, well, the city of Waco and the county picked up their contributions to the program. And so you find some of the cities outside of here that go, well, we're not going to do that because the counties, if we have to slow play it to make sure that another entity does their part, then I'm willing to do that. We just got to make sure that everybody else is willing to do their part because you guys have carried the lion's share and we're next. And these entities outside of here need to do the same thing. They need to be conscious and aware of the facts you're sharing with us.
Dustin, can you
Your
go?
presentation, real quickly, and I'm gonna zip it. Your presentation you brought to us, I appreciated. And you
Excellent.
shared enough about your job that I have a much better understanding of what all you do now.
I'm glad to hear that. Dustin, can you go back to the funding, the spreadsheet real quick? So if you all can see, on average, the cost of an environmental health inspector is right around $51,000 to $5,500, and that's just salaries. That's not even including benefits. So for most of our cities, their contribution is well under the $50,000 mark. So they all understand the value of the health district providing environmental health services, because that's the one thing that we know every jurisdiction in McLennan County benefits from is environmental health. At the point that we don't have a robust health district that can provide environmental health services, the risk is the regional health department has to take up that work. And what happens at the regional level is we go from having 7 sanitarians and inspectors dedicated to McLennan County to having 1 dedicated to McLennan County. And there is just way too many people in McLennan County for us to only have 1 sanitarian. So I feel very confident that because of the cost of employing an inspector, the other cities will continue to fund and contribute.
I understand exactly what you're saying, Commissioner Perry. I think on behalf of smaller cities, I think they really do purpose, and hopefully they want to do more, but they do have financial constraints. I think perhaps maybe one of the reasons why the state felt compelled for counties to understand, sound like I'm bored, compelled to hold up our responsibility when it comes to public health. And I do want to take this time again and say thank you to the Public Health District for navigating us through like communicable diseases like COVID-19, and how on such a large scale we had to ensure the safety and public health of McLennan County as a whole. You know, the smaller cities just weren't able to logistically get that done. And they do want to help. They do want to help. You know, scripture says, to whom much is given, much is required. But also HIV, tetanus, hepatitis, some of those far-reaching health issues that could really strangle a community if they're allowed to kind of expand. I think that's one of the main benefits of having a flourishing and really healthy public health district. You're giving me that down look. And so I know sometimes it seems, when I look at what the city of Waco is putting in, it seems like the city of Waco, maybe McLennan County, is covering a burden. I think we have to do it. The state expects us to do it. Some cities pay in, some cities don't. They just don't have it, or for some reason they just don't. But I think the bottom line is they're just diseases we cannot allow to roam.
Oh, I'm not
You know what I'm
suggesting that in any
saying?
way, shape, form, or fashion, but what I
Yeah.
am saying is they have a priority to their citizens the same way we do.
And I think they're all paying, Commissioner.
Well, and I'm not saying they're not, but what I don't want to see is we get 3 years into this and people see what our contribution is
Yeah.
in the cities and they're like, well, we can probably take a year off. No, we have to make this a priority.
I agree.
Okay. But I applaud your program and your staff and the work you do, especially, you know, sometimes since we're kind of on the end of COVID-19, we forget how it looked when we were on the front end of COVID-19. The fact that LaShonda came in when we were right at the pivotal crisis. And so I want to thank you for navigating us through that, and your staff. And that is why we have a public health district.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller. It's been a joy to work in McLennan County. And like I said earlier, I'm really excited about what's to come because we're really poised to make some big things happen for the health outcomes of our community because we have the right staff, we have the right leadership, and we have the support of our Commissioners Court, of all our city councils. So it's a really good environment to be in.
Good. And I appreciate the commissioners that had the opportunity to talk to Shonda for doing that because it gives a lot of information, and I'm gonna speak for you that they're always welcome to call you through the year. She's very open, she can get down to the very minimal pieces of what they do and
Absolutely.
explain it. So thank you for that.
Sitting in on that meeting, very impressed.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
very
Commissioner.
All right, so at this point, what's the pleasure of the court?
I would move that we would authorize the cooperative agreement with the Waco McLennan County Public Health District, which expires September 30th, 2023, for renewal, beginning October 1st, 23, running through September 30th, 2028, inclusive of the pay agreement that is also attached in the agreement.
Second.
All right, we have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Shonda.
I'd like to go to item M1, County Sheriff, authorization of County Sheriff to request McLennan County's naloxone allocation from the state of Texas and Texas Division of Emergency Management. Hope I said that right. David, you on?
Yes. How are y'all doing today?
Fine, thank you.
So we've got a letter from TDM, and our county sheriff's office has been allocated 78 units of, an easier explanation is Narcan. That's the prescription. The naloxone is the generic version.
Oh,
of it.
yeah.
So we would like to ask the court for approval to go through and apply for our 78 unit allocation. And this is just a request to apply for that so that we can receive those 78 units from the legal claim against the opioid manufacturers the state of Texas was involved in.
Okay. Any questions?
Only thing I would ask, David, based on prior history, how long will 78 units last?
So they have a shelf life of 36 months that's been approved by the FDA. And the problem is the way that TDM, this is with the information we currently have, is the first round has been delivered to the state of Texas and is prepared for distribution. So even if we don't claim them now, they'll have the same shelf life date on them if it's coming from that same stock pool. So to us, it just makes sense to ask for our allotment of units now and try to get those out to the patrol guys during that 36-month period, and they'll be good.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, any other questions? If not, what's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right,
Thank
Dustin.
y'all.
What do you? What do
All right,
we?
Judge, we can head back up to consent now, if that's okay. So E3A is department head reviews, and we'll hold that until after executive session.
All right.
E5B is county sheriff, and it needs to be pulled with no action.
All right, is there a motion to pull E5B with no action?
So moved.
Judge, we can just notate that it was pulled with no
Yeah.
action. We won't
All
need a
right, thank
motion.
you. All right.
All right, moving on to item F, budget and budget amendments. Francis is at a conference today, so she asked me to step through these. So F1 is regarding the FY23 budget. F1A is venue project revenue bond series 2018 permanent improvement fund. This is a transfer from contingencies in the permanent improvement fund totaling $343,138, and it's for that additional grading and gravel work that we approved in court on April the 18th. F1B is the 170th District Court. It's a line item transfer of $149 for the cost of Rural Association of Court Administration registration fees. It's moving within their department fund. F1C is County Sheriff. Line item transfer of $6,000 to cover an invoice from SGI for prisoner transport charges, as well as future invoices for the remainder of the fiscal year, and it's coming from the repair and maintenance line item. F1D is Economic Development, line item transfer of $50,000 for the Regional Workforce Initiative Program through the Greater Waco Chamber of Commerce. We approved this last court session as well, and it's coming from the Industrial Business Grant line item. F1E is County Court at Law number 2. It's a line item transfer of $42 to cover BIS digital maintenance contract totaling $791.93, and it's coming from in their department. F1F goes along with 2 agenda items. Transfer from general fund contingencies totaling $37,586 for quotes with H&M Landscaping and Sprinkler for landscaping work on the courthouse, and an estimate from Lone Star Chiller Systems for repair work on the courthouse chiller system. F1G, adult probation, transfer from general fund contingencies totaling $1,440 for installation of furniture. We approved a budget amendment back on February 21st, but the labor to assemble the furniture was increased on that. So this is coming from contingencies, and it's $1,440. F1H, Road and Bridge Precinct 3, transfer from general fund contingencies in the Road and Bridge Precinct 3 department totaling $5,000 to cover the cost for the remainder of the fiscal year, going to the tires, tubes, and batteries line item. We'll hold F1I. It will need to be deferred, but we can do it separately. F1J, Capital Outlay Tax Office. This is transfer from furniture and equipment and general fund contingencies totaling $7,426 for the purchase of security cameras. Back in March, we approved this, but this is for the West substation, I believe. The cost now exceeds the $5,000, so it needs to come from capital outlay. And so this would actually be approving that budget amendment and the total project cost of $7,426. F1K is Justice of the Peace Precinct 3. It's a transfer from contingencies in the Justice Court Building Security Fund totaling $20,853 for the purchase of security cameras, and it would come from contingencies. And then, Judge, we can hold F1L as well.
Okay. All right, with the exception of F1I, is there a motion to approve F1A through F1K?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
F1I, recommendation is for this item to be deferred.
Motion to defer. Second.
We have a motion second to defer. Any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
F1L, Waco Metropolitan Planning Organization, authorization of annual contribution dues. Zane?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The Metropolitan Planning Organization passed a resolution back in January to have each participant or city and county agency to contribute based on the population census so that they can build up a pot of money so that they can have matching grant funds whenever the federal grant and state grants become available. The MPO can have matching funds. Oftentimes those grants require matching funds. And so since there's now a way to accumulate funds to have the matching funds, the MPO has submitted a request for their inaugural $20,000 request from McLennan County for the MPO grant process. And I believe McLennan County voted in favor of it on the policy board, so I would recommend approval as well.
All right, any questions? If not, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passed.
All
Thank you.
right, and Judge, I know you wanted to make a comment about the upcoming FY '24 budget.
Right, budgets are due by this Friday. Appreciate everyone, if they make that deadline. I will say that, you know, our economy's been good and we've got growth in the county and we understand all that. We also understand that the economy may not always be good and there'll be times that we have to really make budgeting a lot harder. And I just want to say that just looking at trends, I'm going to ask for more detail on that, on FTE increases in different departments. And some of them are mandated, I understand that. But those costs, when you add FTEs, they go on for a long, long time, and even during good times and bad times. And so I think the court's going to be in the posture, I feel confident to be able to really understand why we need an increase in full-time equivalent, new employees and adding. So a lot of justification needs to be brought around that, and in consideration, if there's one department needs to add, is there a way to reduce the FTEs in another department? So just want to kind of set out the expectations on that, you know, we look forward to working with each elected official and department head, but we really do need to think about all the things that have long-term increases that are going to be with us through good times and bad. That's the only comment I've got.
Judge, I would reiterate what you just said. If they're budgeted positions, in my mind, and haven't been filled, that's one thing. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. But new positions, I think we need to scrutinize those closely, or just say, hey, we're not going to add any new positions. I don't necessarily have a problem with that either. Let's go for a year with what we've got and make it work. Because those are costs that go forever.
Yeah.
I mean, we tried for a few years, and I think we still somewhat, but one year we look at new employees, and next year we look at requested pay raises, but never at the same in one year. Never both those items in the same year, unless there's just something that's outrageous. So I wouldn't mind us getting back to that of saying, hey, this isn't the year we're adding FTEs. If you've got something, there's nothing around here that if somebody had to go another year without a full-time employee is going to drop and blow away. We know that. So I would like to get back to having some consistency so our elected officials, department heads know when to ask for what.
Okay.
And we're still going to be subject to the same cap rules and things like that we have been the last 2 years.
Right.
So.
Okay. All right. Dustin, what would be?
All right. Moving on to item G, bids, RFPs, RFQs. G1 is authorization of quotes from H&M Landscape and Sprinkler for courthouse landscaping and irrigation. TJ?
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
So this is kind of a plan of action that we've put together to address the flower beds on the Fifth Street side of the courthouse. Typically, this would kind of be a project that we'd put together on our own and execute with inmate labor, but we just don't have the workforce right now. So we're asking the court to approve H&E as a contractor to go ahead and take care of this for us.
I tell you what, I think this is a good idea, and I'm willing to move forward with this. Somebody come look at the records building, those shrubs there, it's horrible. All they do is catch trash, and then TJ's people gotta dig in there with their arms and all. It really is getting to where it's appalling over there, just because they're,
I agree.
you know, I'm sure when TJ got here, they were out of control then. So, I would hope that we could look at our entire campus.
Yeah, entire campus, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
I agree, and I think planting anything it's not illegal is good, as long as it's green and flourishing. All right, any other questions or comments regarding that?
Has there ever been landscaping in this area before?
So we do have two small beds on either side of the staircase on Fifth Street. So this is kind of an expansion of that, and we'll just kind of bring some life to it and really show it off from the street. The ones that are there now are probably 2 feet wide, 18 feet long, a few shrubs in them here and there that are really sparse. So it'll really make an impact on the courthouse.
Okay, good.
Will this be completed about the same time construction is on Fifth?
Gosh, I hope before that.
I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. That was tongue in cheek. TJ. Sorry.
Okay. All right, anything else? What's the pleasure of the court?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
G2 is authorization of repair work proposal from Lone Star Chiller Systems for chiller plant piping modifications. TJ?
So this second one here is kind of one that I touched on during the review process last week or the week before last. So we've brought this group in. It's a new group that's taking care of our chillers now. They've discovered a deficiency in our piping in the chiller plant. So basically what it's doing, it's allowing the water to divert, and we're losing about 7 degrees of chill water as it comes out of the plant. So from an efficiency standpoint, it's really choking us down. So this is a project that we put together to go in, modify that piping, and correct it to its appropriate direction. So we're asking the court for approval on this one.
All right. Any questions? All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
G3 is authorization of physical document management system maintenance quote from Gimmel, formerly known as InfoLink System Solutions for archives and records management. John?
Good morning.
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 So this one, excuse me, this is for our archives department. This is an existing product they're using. As you all probably know, this InfoLinks is scheduled for retirement. It is a legacy product at this point. But we felt they've given us 3 years of guaranteed support, and Claire and her group over there, they use this in a fairly basic fashion. So we really just need it to operate, and they're guaranteeing support for 3 years. So having this guarantee and deciding that their cost for their current product, which is around $15,000, you'll see that the quote here that we worked out for the 3 years starts at $7,304 or $7,305. It increases very minimally each of the 3 years. One note here, this is not to say that we are definitely moving forward with all 3 years of this. It was just 3 years negotiated in case we do want to move forward with all 3 years. We will still be evaluating products because we know we need to move at some point to a different product. So we will be evaluating that each year, possibly moving in any one of those 3 years. Also, just a bit of background, this product is used by our archives department to digitize all of the files that come over from the courts so that those will be available then via the computer system rather than having to use paper every time. And with that, I would take any questions.
All right, any questions?
And this that we're currently using is a legacy product that'll, and no longer go forward with being able to use this after 3 years, John? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. The company has ended support, yet they do have all the experts still on staff. And again, we negotiated directly with them to ensure that that support would be available for 3 years.
Okay. And within 3 years, we've got to come up with something else then?
Correct. We would either have to move to their current product, which again is roughly double the cost of this. So that obviously gives us pause. Or we would have to find another product to move to.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve G3.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
And if it's all right, we've got a couple other items for John close by. H2 is authorization of support and a maintenance agreement with Excella Technologies for records management. John?
Yes, so this is, again, excuse me, for the archives, agreement with Excella Technologies for a Whitson Wilson scanner, total of $2,358.20. The term of agreement, 6/5/23 to 6/4/24.
All right, any questions?
And it went down?
Yes.
Thank you. I move to approve H2.
Second.
Motion made and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass.
H4, authorization of statement of work agreement with Civic Plus for domain name server and secure socket layer certificate hosting for McLennan.gov. John?
So again, welcome again. So the McLennan.gov, which was approved on March 21st by the court, this is the one step we have to do to actually make that active. It was approved by the CISA agency that hands out these names. So we did secure McLennan.gov. So this is something we would have to do with any domain that we start to use. We have to pay our hosting site to actually host it for us, and to host the secure socket layer certificate, which just makes it secure. So currently we pay Civic Plus $29,901.45. And that's for everything. That's for our website and all that sort of thing to host it. And our initial cost for this would just add $82.45 for hosting the site this year. And next year, the annual fee is $164, which we also pay this fee to host our current site, the co.mclennan.tx.us. And with that, I would take any questions.
All right, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Thank you.
All right, moving back to item H1, authorization of construction agreement with Meckel Contracting for Trading Post Road Creek crossing improvements. Ken?
Yes, sir. Again, if you may recall, this contract is a result of the bid of 23-014. The court accepted the recommendation of Meckel Contracting for this contract. In the process of talking about the contract, we realized that we had not included the flashing warning sign. I came back to the court with a letter, and the court also agreed to the additional cost for that flashing sign plus the additional amount for the bonds, for a total of $543,517.51. It took us a while to work out this contract. We were adding terminology connecting this contract with the ARPA funding. It took a team effort. Had myself, Dustin, and Mike Dixon all kind of working together to find the right terms and conditions to add to the contract. Anyway, it's all been looked through. It's already been signed by Meckel and just needs the court's approval and signature.
Okay, any questions for Ken? All right, is there a motion to approve this contract?
So move.
Second.
Motion made and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
H3, authorization of memorandum of understanding with Valley Mills Independent School District Police Department for communication and coordination with the McLennan County Sheriff's Office. David?
Yep, this is a MOU between us and Valley Mills ISD. Texas Education Code 37.081G requires we shall enter into an agreement with any ISD department in which we have overlapping jurisdiction. And Valley Mills ISD being a unique ISD has to enter into this with McLennan County and Bosque County because of their campus locations. And this is just handling our McLennan County side to satiate that Texas Education Code statute.
All right, any questions for David? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve the memorandum of understanding with the Valley Mills ISD Police Department.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion made and second. Any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
H5, authorization of wastewater inspection system agreement with Riddell Septic for Road and Bridge Precinct 2. TJ?
Yes, so this is the second part of the agreement that we brought to court a couple of weeks ago. This is rolling both of those units out there at Road and Bridge 2 into one contract per se with the same contractor. So we're seeking approval from the court to proceed.
All right, any questions? What's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve H5.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
H6, authorization of professional services agreement renewal with Hub International Insurance Services for Employee Benefit Plan Group Health Insurance Plan Consultant. Anna?
Yes, this is a renewal that we have for the professional service agreement that we have with Hub. It expires on May 8th of this year, and we would like to request the renewal for an additional year. So it would be a term of May 9th through May 8th of 2024, and under the same terms and rate currently, which is $48,000. There's no change to that. And I want to note that this will be the 12th year with this professional service agreement, and in those 12 years, there's not been an increase by Hub International for their plan and professional services agreement. So again, we request renewal with Hub International to continue our partnership with Randy McGraw.
Okay, and he will be coming, I guess, during budget time to talk about the plan and those things, I assume.
Yes, sir, he will. We actually have a plan review with United Healthcare here later this month. And then, yes, I'll be sure that he has a time set for the plan review with the Commissioners Court during budget.
Okay, thank you.
You're
All right,
welcome.
any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve this contract?
Motion to approve the renewal with Hub International Insurance Services.
Second.
All right, we have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
H7, authorization of contract for services, Greater Waco Chamber of Commerce for the Workforce and Talent Initiative. This is the program they presented back on the 18th that we approved, and then we approved the budget amendment earlier. And this is just a simple agreement with them stating what the county public's purpose that will be served, and also put some reporting requirements on the chamber. So we're just looking for a motion to approve this contract with the Greater Waco Chamber of Commerce.
All right, any questions? If not, I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
H9, authorization of temporary service agreement with Waste Connections Lone Star, Inc. for trash and tire cleanup day, Road and Bridge Precinct 4. Commissioner Perry?
Just our normal cleanup day out there, so we'll be getting the dumpster in, and then as you see, we'll get funding eventually through HotCog for this, so I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Moving down to item J, capital improvement and construction projects. J1 regarding McLennan County downtown jail remodel for courtrooms and office space. The agreement with Brinkley Sargent and Wigington. Authorization of invoice number 6. This invoice totals $5,000, and it's for their programming and conceptual layout work. And it's been reviewed and recommended for approval.
All right, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
J2 is regarding the 415 Columbus Avenue site demolition proposal with Walker Partners, authorization of invoices. J2A is regarding their services through the month of February, and then J2B are the services through March. Ken, did you want to touch on these?
Just to say that invoice 24242, in the amount of $350 was for working with the moving utilities on the site. And then invoice 24509 in the amount of $1,500 was also working with the utilities, but also the final documents for the demolition.
Okay. All right, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
J3 regarding capital improvement projects for the Cameron Park Zoo, agreement with the city of Waco, authorization of invoice 26173. Per the agreement with the city, they have submitted this invoice to $729,484.32 for payment by the county for work on the Education Center, Vet Hospital, Hoofstock Barn, and the Penguin exhibit. And this invoice has been reviewed by the auditor's office and is recommended for approval.
Okay, any questions? If not, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Under item K, real estate, K1 is authorization of commercial real estate listing agreement, exclusive right to sell with Pascal Skipper and Associates. This is regarding the old JP4 at 307 South Madison and McGregor. The property is being listed at $150,000. The term on this listing is May the 5th, 2023 through August the 4th, and the broker's fee is 5% of the sales price.
All right, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
All right, moving on to item L, grants, grant proposals. L1 is our ARPA discussion. Under L1A is regarding the professional services agreement with BKD LLP / Forvis, authorization of their invoices through March. This totals $5,528.53 for those grant administration services. It has been reviewed and recommended for approval.
All right, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second?
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
All right, under L1B, we have a few action items. These are action to rescind previously approved beneficiary agreements for ARPA funding. So L1B1 with TSTC, we actually just need to pull it with no action right now. We're still working with TSTC and their accountants, trying to get them properly aligned as either a beneficiary or a subrecipient. We're working with Forvis for additional help on that. So if we could pull that one with no action.
All right, pull with no action. Pull with no action. Go ahead.
Under L1B2, City of Lorena, L1B3, City of Riesel, L1B4, City of West, these actually need to be subrecipient agreements as per a recommendation from Forvis. So we just need a motion on L1B2 through B4 to rescind those previously approved beneficiary agreements.
Okay, any questions? If not, I'll make a motion. We approve that change.
Second?
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
And then L1C is authorization of subrecipient agreements for ARPA funding. L1C1, this is with TSTC. We need to pull this one with no action as well as we continue to work on it.
All right, pull with no action.
Then L1C2 is Lorena, L1C3 is Riesel, and L1C4 is West. And we just need a motion to approve the subrecipient agreements with those cities.
All right, I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Have motion second. Any questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Under L1D, authorization of revised beneficiary agreement with McLennan Community Investment Fund. This one totals $50,000. Judge Vance just had a few minor changes that have been reviewed by Mike. and accepted. So we just need a motion to approve this revised beneficiary agreement.
Okay, I'll make that motion. Is there a second? I have a motion second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
L2 is regarding the bipartisan infrastructure law. I know we had Georgina on last court session. I don't believe we have any updates this time, but we will continue to stay in touch with her. I know Zane had seen some new grant opportunities yesterday that we forwarded on to TLC. So unless the court has anything else, nothing additional on that item.
All right.
All right, moving down to item M2, purchasing, authorization of online auction with Renee Bates, related ad in order declaring certain property as surplus and authorizing disposition of same. Ken?
This is a small auction basically for old office supplies and old furniture. And again, if approved by the court, the auction will run from, I'm sorry, I lost my place.
Ken, I think it started on May the 5th.
Yeah, May
The
5th,
19th?
yes,
Through the 19th.
through the 19th.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Have motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
M3, human resources, authorizations regarding the 2023 employee wellness and lifestyle expo. Anna?
Yes, I'm requesting the ability to host the Employee Wellness and Lifestyle Expo this year on October 26th. It's a Thursday. We're intending to have it at the same scale as we were able to do last year, which includes an all-day event centered around employees' health and wellness. We're hoping to, again, offer health screenings, flu shots. With today's approval with United Way, we're also hoping to incorporate a community aspect and have them included in our expo planning and coordinating. Just like last year through our services with United Healthcare, they'll be assisting us with the coordination and through the discretionary allowance that we have in that service agreement, we're intending to use that to plan the expo. And so that means there's not going to be any cost to the county or the county health plan for this event. This year, just like in previous years, we're also going to be incorporating incentives such as food, again, like last year. And so the request is to move forward with the Employee Wellness and Lifestyle Expo for year 2023. So HR can join forces with United Healthcare to begin coordinating that and also issuing out notices and announcements and save the dates for employees.
Okay, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
M4, elections, ratification of data services and hotspots. Ken?
Yes, we had a situation come up a week and a half ago, and you may have all noticed it, but our Verizon cellular network was having issues.
No kidding.
Yeah, we found a hole in our system.
Awful.
And our election equipment was running through the Verizon cellular network. We, working with John and putting our heads together, we went out and we had an AT&T device to test on our devices and found it to work successfully. We went ahead, we had that one, we added it to our network for $30 a month, but we went ahead and obtained 3 other units at $30 a month, and we signed a 2-year contract. But again, I think we found a weakness. We're going to keep both the Verizon and the AT&T devices for our elections equipment. And we may add more later on as we get into a big election. but for this smaller election, that's all we needed at the time. But again, it's one of those situations that came up, and we just put our heads together to find a resolution before we were actually into the election. So this is a
The
ratification.
Verizon issue is fixed? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, as far as we understand. I mean,
Okay.
my own personal phone is working, so I'm thinking all's okay, but,
Your
you know,
phone or your hotspot?
well, both,
Okay.
so.
Huh,
But
I wish I wouldn't have drop kicked mine across the yard.
yes, sir. But again, it's kind of, I'm glad it came up at a time that we could find a resolution
Yeah.
that worked
Absolutely.
successfully.
Okay.
But again, this is the ratification for obtaining those units.
All right.
I guess this, what if there is a big outage? What is our backup?
Technically, we could store the equipment on devices and bring it back. It just takes a lot longer for election results to be
Yeah,
determined, I
well,
think. But again, we are trying not to go there. But I think that elections could probably answer that better than I can. There was some discussion on that.
So we went with AT&T because I assume they all offer hotspots, but it would make sense to offer a Verizon hotspot if it was Verizon service that went out. So AT&T would be another provider.
Yes,
If this one goes out, we have this one type situation.
that's right.
Okay.
Backup, good plan.
Backup.
Good, it's a backup. It's a backup. And I certainly don't have a problem with that. I think, Ken, I've mentioned to you before, it concerns me somewhat that we're getting more and more requests for hotspots, and that's a can of worms that everybody could want one. So I want to, but I think this is very muchly needed. I think it's a very good idea.
John, did you have something? You came on screen.
It was just in case you needed a little more information on that. So the idea here is that if the Verizon network is down, then the AT&T network hopefully will be up. And that was the case in this instance. But it's also important, I think, to understand here that these are the polling books where they're checking voters. It's not voting. We're not voting over the web or anything like that.
Right.
Or over the line. So I wanted
It's the
everyone to
electronic
understand,
poll
this is
books
really checking.
that
And
are
then in the
updated.
worst case scenario, we lose connection. When they come back to the election center, they will connect then, wired, of course. And then if we did somehow find a discrepancy, then it could be remediated before any vote was, authenticated or anything like that. So we do have a backup plan in that regard. And Jared could probably fill you in more on that.
Well, I think it's very prudent of you to point out, John, that those were not for voting. That's strictly for checking voter registration. So
Yeah, I should have done a better job.
No voting over the internet.
Right. And another point to make to your point about having hotspots is that these voting locations are out and about. It's very hard to control, what access you have to be able to check the voters and that sort of thing. So that's why these hotspots are necessary.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. What's the pleasure of the court?
Move to ratify the data services hotspots.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
All right, moving on to item N, additional items. N1, discussion and action on request for waiver of penalties and interest on property taxes. And I'll share my screen really quickly. So the first one under N1A is a request submitted by Elvira Escada. She put it in her mailbox at home on January 30th. Check was dated January 30th and the postmark date was February the 2nd. So it's recommended for approval. N1B is a request submitted by Jose Silva. This one was mailed on January the 30th. Check date was January 30th, postmark date again on February the 2nd. And then finally, N1C is regarding requests submitted by Blake Willis. And this one was took to the post office and mailed on January 31st with a check dated on the 31st and postmark dated February the 2nd. So we recommend approval for these three requests.
All right, any questions? All right, if not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
N2 is our discussion and per action regarding proposed or pending legislation. Judge or Commissioner, do y'all have anything to share this week?
I really don't. I don't know if y'all have anything.
We're coming up on some deadlines, pretty soon. Looking at them, really or something, the last day for House Committee to report, May the 20th.
What's May the 8th?
May the 8th?
Yeah, that first sentence up there, last day to report House bills from the committees on May.
Last day for House Committee to report House bills and joint resolutions. The House rules do not contain an express deadline for committee to report measures, but technically this is the last day for a House Committee to report a House bill or House joint resolution in order for the measure to have any chance of being placed on a House calendar.
Okay.
So, lots of stuff still, bad stuff for us, still
Still hanging out there.
still hanging out there.
Fortunately, the county judges and commissioners organization, with the leadership of Jim Allison, is representing counties. And when he requests additional letters of support, well, we provide that. And those are primarily where they negatively affect counties. They don't have to do with other things. But I don't know the exact status on the House bill on the nuisance deal. I think it goes to, I'm not sure if it's referred back or not.
What's that number?
1732.
1372, I think.
1372.
And what was it, Judge?
Well, it has to do with the legislation regarding filing nuisance bills. The effect to us is that the opioid settlement money, instead of coming directly to us where the damage was, and we were the ones that filed suit, it'd go to the state to be allocated back, and too many sticky fingers. And
Another level of bureaucracy.
Hey, have we gotten a response from Orr's office yet as to why
no,
this was a bill that she wanted to co-sponsor?
nothing other than what they originally said, that they kind of got off and avoided talking about the opioid settlement and talked about other.
Yeah, it was more of a discussion about how Texas needs to be business friendly.
Yeah.
And any company that comes here and does things legally should be able to do business in Texas without fear of these types of lawsuits.
Yeah.
Was the explanation.
Well, we've only had a couple of issues, call them kind of junkyard deals, but
Right.
trash and.
Well, I guess that's maybe the Trojan horse that they're using to get in and get this passed.
Yeah.
Because Texas is
These
a
are
friendly
not-
place to do work. Just do the right thing when you get here.
Yeah.
These are not frivolous lawsuits by any means.
No.
Aren't we still number one in new businesses? I think we're ahead of California.
Won
So
the
I don't think we're having a
Governor's
problem
Cup.
with
we're-
businesses in the
We're
Texas.
always.
Yeah, we won the Governor's Cup.
Yeah, I don't
Yep.
think we're having a problem recruiting businesses in Texas.
That's right. The only other one that affects, there's a bill that, I think it was State Representative Burns filed regarding reducing the regulations regarding the North Bosque River.
Oh, yeah.
The dairy deals, and some of the regulations are kind of a pain, like continuing education for those dairymen that have permits there. That's not required anywhere else, and it's the same thing every year. takes time to do it, but the others, could affect the quality of the river, our lake, well, the river and ultimately our lake. The Bosque River still is, considered to be, lower quality water, much improved, but still not out of the woods. And City of Waco was taking it with their lobbyists to take pretty aggressive challenge of that. There may be some middle ground. We're trying to find out what that is right now. But I don't think the city is looking at it as that there's middle ground, but I'm not sure about that. So that's kind of where that is. And I don't know of anything else to talk about unless you do.
No.
Okay.
We'll exhale on May 29th.
Pardon me?
We'll exhale on May 29th.
Yes, that's right. If there's any air left in us. All right, Dustin, I guess we can approve that report for recording purposes.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion, we approve that for recording purposes.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
All right, moving on to item N3, selection designation of public members of the Salary Grievance Committee regarding the FY24 budget. Mercedes, I don't think we're ready to take any action yet, right?
No, we don't need to take any action, but we need to draw more names today.
How many total do we need?
6.
And yes,
So we've got 4.
Mhm.
So we need 2 more.
Are you willing to volunteer?
Certainly.
Okay. How many today?
9.
9. Vicky Burgess Garrett. Barbara Craven. Brian Bull. Danielle Hollinser. Eric Dodson. Robert King.
3 more.
3 more. Jennifer Wilson. Joshua Carney. 1 more. And Devin Devon Williams.
Okay, so no action needed other than what we just did. Correct?
that's correct.
Okay. All right.
All right.
N5.
Moving on to item N5, authorization to host court night for the 2025 North and East Texas County Judges and Commissioners Association Annual Conference and approval of resolution. I know the City Commissioners Bureau is going to submit an RFP, submit a response on an RFP for this conference. And the dates would be in July of 2025. And typically the host county supports the evening function known as host court night, which we've done in past. And so they're just looking to us for some, that we would be financially responsible for that event, which again, we have done in the past. Typically we submit a letter of support. This RFP mentions the response being in the form of a resolution by the Commissioners Court. We do not have that resolution prepared, but I know there's a quick turnaround. So we would still ask that the court would allow us to draft a resolution stating that it would be the financial responsibility of the host court to host that host court night.
Okay, and I know in the North and East meeting that's coming up, in the past, I've been on that committee of site selection. I don't know if I still am or not, but I might not be totally unbiased if Waco's in the mix. I'll just say that up front. But I think we've got a lot to offer, and you know, we want to make a really nice package, which we will get from the folks. Some of them are here this morning, the Tourism and Visitor Tourism Bureau. So anyhow, I would make a motion that we approve the preparation of a resolution to present.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Right, moving down to item N9, acknowledgement of Mentor Waco Commissioners Court Visitation Day, and I believe this needs to be deferred.
All right, I make a motion, we defer. Is there a
Second.
second? We have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
Moving down to item N11, authorization to submit requests for unclaimed capital credits to the Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts. And we received a letter, which we do annually, indicating that the county could possibly have a portion of unclaimed capital credits from electric cooperatives. And we have to submit a form stating we wish to receive those funds prior to July 31st, 2023.
Okay.
What does unclaimed capital credit mean, Judge?
I think, I'm not sure. Dustin, you have a better explanation of it.
Yeah, so there is a definition of it in the info we received. So electric cooperatives that have lost contact with a previous customer sometimes report capital credits to the comptroller's office as unclaimed property. Texas law allows counties to claim a portion of unclaimed capital credits originating from their county and use them for specific programs.
It offsets our cost. Because they are cooperatives, everybody's a member, and that's our allocation back, I guess. But that's to be used against our obligation, right?
Yeah, so then we could use them for state or local economic development, small business or disadvantaged business development. There's kind of a laundry list of what we can use them as well.
Yeah. Any other questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Under item O, Americans with Disabilities Compliance Project, O1 is authorization of professional services invoice with CP&Y. This is their ADA study report for the month of March. It's an invoice totaling $2,910 for those March services, and it is recommended for approval.
All right, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
And that should be all the action items, with the exception of the one pull from the consent agenda for department head reports. A judge will need to go into executive session under 551.074 to finish those evaluations.
All right, so we will go into executive session under 551.074 pertaining to personnel matters.
And Judge, would you like for me and Anna to stay in?
Yeah, you and Anna stay in.
Recording in progress.
Okay, it's 11:56, let's go back into regular session. As mentioned before, we're getting close to budget time, and Honor's doing some, I guess, more studying and investigation on what affects COLA, or what effects inflation's had on talking about COLA, and also working on recommendations on department head salaries and those kind of things that we'll be looking at here fairly soon. So, and then the other thing is asking HR to do a department head and elected official FTE count over the last, let's say, 5 years. Because that gets us before the economy started ramping up and kind of what's going on, but also we could match it with the growth of the community, and that's just one indication. I know the court's docket and the amount of work in it was disrupted, and now it's but I guess sustainability of that trend is something we can talk about. And I think if we have those discussions before we get into budget, we can get that out of the way instead of in it, so we can kind of get a mindset about what it looks like. So any ideas anyone has, or any third-party folks we ought to invite in to talk about economy and.
But I agree, I'd like to see what she projects the inflation to be for this year, what it's gonna end up, and maybe even a crystal ball, what they're thinking it'll be next year.
Right.
For us.
Yeah,
Inflation.
and so what we do in regards to COLA is we look, in retrospect, we look back and see what it was, and so we only set COLA based on what we've experienced. But we can also be thinking about, like you're saying. So, anything else to come before the court?
Do we, on John's, is he up for
90 day?
90-day?
Well, he's been here since the
been here
3rd of
January.
So, yeah, so we'll talk about, she'll give us all that information.
You're gonna wait for,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it'd be pretty quick, we'll get it pretty quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just to that, I had visited with Anna earlier. I think the last 2 new department heads, might have had a 90-day review, but any salary adjustment was at the 6-month mark, I believe. So,
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's have all that, update us all on where we are with that. Ask Anna to, please, for the next meeting. Okay.
and Judge, we can just show no action taken on that E3A. That's the pool for the department head evaluation, since those were done in executive session.
All right, thank you. All right, under E3A, under department head evaluations, no action needed. Anything else? All right, we stand adjourned.